What's going on, people? Welcome to the live match reaction. Palace 1, Forest 1. It's the Classico, whatever they say. I don't agree with that, but it was a highly anticipated game. We managed to get a point at the end of it. Of course, a lot of discussion points about the game and also more on Oliver Glasner and the squad. As always, even if you're watching a replay, please hit the like button and subscribe if you're new to the channel. We've been killing it recently, so appreciate every single one of you for doing that. I know you don't have to, but it helps us grow the channel, so it's helped us massively. And yeah, I'm joined by Hambo here to discuss the game, and the lines will be open in about a few minutes time as well, where you can call into the show. Hambo, how you doing?
So just before you said that they don't have to. I think they do have to.
I mean, technically, there's no one holding a gun to their head to say and they still do it.
Sorry, you're telling me I need to hold guns to people's heads?
Yeah.
To try and understand.
Yeah.
But no, you do all have to like and subscribe, all of you. I don't care.
Yeah, because Hammer's on now, you have to.
Yeah.
But yeah, otherwise I don't well, I mean, I say it probably a million times on the stream, but I don't physically force you. But how you doing anyways, Hammer?
I'm a bit upset about how red my face is on this stream, if I'm being brutally honest with you. It's quite warm in my little office here. But other than that, I'm all right. I think, we were just having a chat just now, weren't we, where got a lot of mixed feelings, going into this season. A couple of trophies already in the bank there, and we should be really excited. Won our first game in Europe. Great performance in the opening game, and good battling display today to some degree. But it doesn't feel like any of those things are true, does it? So it's an interesting time as a Palace fan.
Yeah. I'll be honest. I think that we're going to end up talking. I know because of what I saw during the game. I know we're going to end up talking a bit more out of the game in terms of squad depth, etc. But let's actually start off with the game. Of course, a 1-1 draw. I think in the first half, at times we lacked the quality in the final third, but we still managed to get the job done in terms of Sarg being in the right place at the right time, and it was a lovely finish there. And I thought we were the better side. I thought we were the better side over Forest, considering the circumstances. I thought that was very impressive, and it was a great tactical watch. And in the second half, after they equalised, I think fatigue played a part. Fatigue is going to play a part this season for those who control the spending. I mean, surely you can see it on the pitch now. So we naturally, sat back a bit more. Forest, of course, hit was it a crossbar or the post towards the end of it? And I thought a draw was a fair result, to be fair. I thought a draw was a fair result at the end of it. What about you?
Yeah, I'd agree with the majority of that. I think we battled really hard and we created some really strong chances. And I think a lot of the fear with Eze going, of course, was that we wouldn't have people carrying the ball and creating the chances. But just like we did against Fredrikstad, we created plenty today. But it is, as you said, it's that decision making in that final third, and where Eze can spin on the ball, take on a couple of players, and then feed someone in. Devaney is not that player. First of all, his strengths are quite clear that he, physically he covers a lot more ground than Eze does. He's a bigger, presence, and he's got a different set of skills. And that doesn't mean that he can't attack. And he took up some really good positions. He's, very, very intelligent with his running, got in space really well. So, we're kind of looking as to what are we missing. And, he's filled the gap really well in some senses, but in other senses, we all know it's coming up in the chat. We don't just need 110; we need several. And I think first half we started really slowly, and I was genuinely worried. I was really very worried about everything because it didn't feel like the cohesion was there. And I think when you take a link like Eze out of the team, you think about the instinctive stuff that Mitchell does. He could always find Eze, and Eze could always find him. They knew where each other were. Devaney playing in that position, it's no longer instinctive. There's a lot more thought going on. And I thought Ty stepped up really well, by the way, in that. But then again, everything coming through the middle, Wharton trying to dictate play, looking up, and the pass that was always on. There was always one into the feet of Eze. Wasn't always there, and we had to try different ways of doing things. So I think we really did struggle, but we built up a run of steam. And when we got confident in that first half, created 3-4 chances, and I felt like a goal was coming. And if we'd managed to sustain that in the second half, we would be talking about 3 points today. But as you quite rightly pointed out, whether it's fatigue, whether it's just that little bit lack of quality and the fact that they had a lot of quality on their bench. The second half, they kind of twisted it a little bit. They really pushed us down their left, our right, took advantage of the space in behind Munoz and got in down there a couple of times. And it was just enough to unsettle us and for Hudson-Odoi to get in and finish really well. And there was a couple of other chances that they had as well, as you say. So they weren't great, like Forest. You know, you're talking about a club that finished 7th in the Premier League but thought they were going to finish a lot higher. And they've sold a couple of players, but invested really heavily. And yes, we are honestly we're better than them. So that's my summary.
Yeah, I do. I think squad wise we're not. I think Glasner makes us better. I think with another manager with the squad, we could be in trouble. Like, I mean, he's trying to maximize. We still haven't got bad players, but we're still seeing the likes of Edward coming on during the game. It was nice to see Eze as well. And we'll talk about squad depth a bit later on. But look, Eze's current replacement, Devaney, is not a number 10. He's not a number 10. You know what? Today it wasn't any. I don't want to go and go in on him, but it wasn't really any different from what we saw against Fredrikstad. To be fair, with Devaney. I mean, we're playing Devaney, who I think is probably better suited in the midfield too, coming off the bench and you know putting in some minutes like that. I don't think he's ready to be a Premier League starter, anyways. But we're talking about a player who's probably not ready to start in the Premier League, starting in a position that's not his, and. We've always had the players where someone would pick up the ball, run at the defense, and Sarr is that type of player in terms of, you know, if they're spacing behind, he'll run into that. But technical players who can operate in tight spaces. We had the Elise, the Zaha, and now we're talking about, respectfully, Justin Devaney from Eze. Like, I think, as I said, my stance wouldn't have changed if we won the game, if we drew the game, if whatever. Well, we did draw the game. If we lost the game, whatever the result, I was watching that and I was looking at the team and I was thinking, we are really taking a piss out of Glasgow. 30 minutes into the game, I'm like, we're taking a piss. I'm thinking Devaney has to start because he doesn't trust Eze as much to start. But the options off the bench is so poor. How on earth have we ended up in this position where, you know, thankfully we're still picking up points, Chelsea and Forest here. But how we ended up in this position where we won 2 trophies, and there was a summer to build on, but the squad looks, not the 11, the squad in general is thin. It is very thin, and these players are running to the ground. It's ridiculous. I'm so with Glasner with this. We've done an awful job this summer, a terrible job this summer with recruitment. We've only spent £2 million, which is absolutely crazy to me, in all honesty. Of course, there's always going to be excuses, right? We don't have the money. There's this. There's UEFA. Well, now we're playing in UEFA competitions. We can't do this. Every time we want to play it safe. We don't want to take risks, and it's worked so far in terms of staying in the Premier League, staying as a Premier League club. But I just find it ridiculous the situation that we're in. I really do, and I'm fuming. I'm actually fuming. Not at the performance. I'm proud of the players and the manager, but I'm fuming at those above them and the recruitment team, because there is no excuses for us to be like this, especially after selling Eze. Where's his replacement? Why did we sell it? If Eze had a release clause, sorry, I'm going on a tangent, I know that. We're going to go back to the game, but it's just something I had to get off my chest. If Eze had a release clause and he left to Arsenal when he did on, what was it, yesterday got announced, then I'll say, you know what, fair enough. Like, we lost Eze, they triggered his release clause, we can't do anything about it. But the ball was in our hands. It was in our hands. It was up to us to actually go ahead with that sale or not, because his release clause expired. So why would he go ahead and sell him and not have the replacement lined up? Like, what's the reason for that? It's just, it's shocking. It's shocking to me.
I mean, look, I think, the club has known, as everyone's really known, that this summer Eze was going. You know, I think we've been kind of pushed into a position of thinking about this release clause a little bit too much, and you know, because that's the point where we can't stop him going. But we're not going to do that. I don't think we're never going to stop a player from leaving if he wants to leave. But like you, I have no answer as to why we haven't got the players lined up. We're talking about it before we started. I think we all, again, if you know anything about the structure of the club, you know that you're working on 3-4 names for particularly your players that you're thinking contractually you're likely to lose, or a player who might retire, player who's not up to it. You're looking at your options seasons in advance, right? So there's a list of people that's been looked at and generated and altered over the last couple of years since Eze signed his contract, for sure, that of players that we think can step in, right? But we haven't pushed the button. So as I said to you pre-show, like, I don't know the reason for that. People are speculating, like, it could be so many different things. We haven't got the money, or we don't think we can spend the money. It can be this is the way we've always done it and it served us well, so we're going to carry on doing it and we get the best value. But it's nonsensical, isn't it? You think about, what you kind of lose for waiting till the end of the transfer window. And the frustrating thing is we're now in a position where effectively the club ownership, for whatever reason, and it could be good reasons that we don't know, but have backed us into a position where there's actually no point acting quickly, because whoever we get in that can't play against Fredrikstad, unlikely to be, in with the team and gelling and working with them for the Villa game. And then there's a 2-week break for international. So there's no point getting them in. You may as well get them in on deadline day now. And if that's deliberate, if like this inaction is deliberate to force this position, so we act late and get the best value, like the best value of what's left is the truth. So I really honestly hope it's something that we're not aware of, and there's, some kind of really specific good reason why we haven't signed any of the rumored players.
Like with us, there's always a reason. There's always an excuse that comes out. For me, it's about finding ways around that. Like, teams have done crazy stuff. They've sold a women's team to another. Like, there's, we've seen it with, I think it was Aston Villa, who, and a few other clubs maybe. I've seen it a few times where they sold the women's team to another company, which is, to find ways around it and do. But with Palace, I'll be honest, we can always line up the excuses, but at what point are we just going to look at ourselves and just take accountability?
No, I think there's no doubt when you go into a game, and this takes us back to the game a little bit, I guess. We started the game with 2 keepers on the bench. Like, you ain't bringing Remy Matthews on as a 10, are you, to change the game? So what's he on the bench for? Like, what point are you making? And managers have done that at Palace before, haven't they? In terms of sticking people on 2 keepers on the bench, just to say, look, I've got nothing else. You could stick any kid from the academy on there, but they're not going to play. But like, it just, again, and to me, it shows a disconnect. It really does. It shows you that whatever's being said publicly, and Glasner has said his piece, and then he's calmed down a little bit, and he's sort of said, look, I trust the club will get the right names in, by the end of the window, and then we'll see how we do. But when you look at that situation, he said he didn't want to be in that position. He said he wanted his players in pre-season, as many as we could. And that's the truth of it. We got a backup left back and a backup keeper to sit there, on the bench. And that's all we did early. And we can't point to that and say that was the best way for Crystal Palace to be progressive. This is Crystal Palace, the FA Cup holders, the Community Shield holders, going into the Premier League, 2 keepers on the bench in the second game. And we're supposed to be accepting that as normal. And to be fair, it almost is normal, isn't it? That's what I was saying. Like, this is the same as every other window. Like, I don't know why we're surprised, because it's what we do every single window. And just because, and last point on this, when you look at the squad, right, in terms of players out injured, you've got Riyadh and Kafur in defence, which obviously none of them are going to change anything, right? We don't really know what's going on with Cheick Doucouré. Hamada is a waste of a signing and not going anywhere. And then you start getting into the likes of Raksaki, who's obviously his future is away from the club. And that's it. That's it really, other than academy players, like Rodney or Agbenone. And they're not going to do anything. And France is going back to Brazil on loan. Edouard's been told to get out of the club.
It's coming on still.
Yeah. And
we have to, though. We have to, because we play Thursday, then we play Sunday, then we got another Thursday and Sunday game. Like, this is the thing. He has to come on, but I don't know how we're in this situation. And I've had debates with Lou about this as well. I don't know how we're in the situation where Edouard is still even at the football club.
No, I mean, again, if no one wants him and he's under contract, there's not too much you can do about it other than pay him to go away, and we might end up in that
We
position.
tried to sell him too late.
But you know, we've got, if you think about it in attack, it's with all due respect, you know, let's write off Edouard. If you think about in attack, you've got Franco Ume, who I think's probably going out on loan at some point. You've got Zach Marsh, who scored a hat-trick for the 21s the other day, but nowhere near a Premier League forward. As I say, France's going out on loan, we're not using him. We haven't got any strikers other than Mateta. So he's got to play every minute of every game, especially if Edouard. What on earth is going on there? And are we linked with any strikers? We're all talking about getting 10s in. Where's our strikers? Like, you know, I just think you know, we're gonna get, if you start looking too close at that, you'll forget everything that's going on in, you know, match by match basis. And we have to look at that today and say, again, you talked about it, Glasner was, you know, is getting a tremendous performance out of this team. And, you know, but for that little bit of a lapse in the second half, I think we'd be talking about 3 points that would have been well deserved. So all those frustrations aside, it wasn't bad today. It was just a big, like, waving warning sign of, you need to act. You need to get players in, and we're talking about 2 or 3. We need 4 or 5. You know, a lot of these injuries and loans going out and things like that. That squad is paper thin.
What about Romain Esse? I think that's the only player which I was surprised he didn't come on against Fredrikstad. He came on today. He was exciting, and I think that's the only player that we can have off the bench that could give a bit of like a flair. And we don't really. I don't know who else is in the squad that has that flair of like the Eze's, Elises, and the Zars that we used to. I think Esse is the only one, and he came on today, and I thought he looked exciting.
Yeah, really, really pleased to see him because I worried, you know, when he didn't come on against Fredrikstad, and you're just thinking,
What's going on?
Yeah, that game is screaming out for somebody with a bit of pace and trickery, and you know, yeah, you worry. But seeing him play 30 minutes a day, and I hope whatever it was against, I mean, obviously I know he over elaborated and got a little bit super fancy against Liverpool and upset Glasner. I get that, right? And I trust that Ollie Glasner knows how to manage players like that, because there's so much talent there, you know, and there's a few moments today where you just thought, actually, you know, I think maybe because he's played as a winger most of his career, he's not a 10. He's got all of the attributes to be a 10, and I think that's why Ollie's hard on him, because he's got to do the bits that you need to do as a 10. He's got to know when to drop in, come narrow, when to go wide, and also he's got to be able to look around him and know when's the right time to sort of to take some chances and to put the ball at risk. And I think what he did today would do him a world of good, because if you're thinking about it, I know Kamada's going to come in, and by the way, Devaney is a perfect Kamada clone. Like, you know, if you're looking at your side with Kamada in it and not Eze, the two make sense. But you know, but I do think that Romain Esse is certainly one of those players who can take us forward in the future if he continues to develop. But he's got to come in and out of the side. You can't play him every week and expect him to be perfect, because he won't be.
Yeah. I think he needs to get consistent minutes so he can just build up a bit of confidence and get used to the Premier League. He hasn't played that many games since he's joined us. So I think this is his opportunity. I think Devaney, you know, he didn't have a great game today. And Esse coming in, I thought he took his opportunity well. I thought he had a bit more of an impact than Devaney did when he was on the pitch, which was positive. The goal, of course, we scored about the goal scored. The goal conceded. Where do you think we went wrong with that?
I just think we got caught. As I said earlier, I think Forest, clearly in how they played, they really saw their right-hand side as a focal point for their attacks. They run the channels really well. I mean, Wood nearly got in a couple of times in the channels, and I think we just got a little bit sort of caught out. Well, I was going to say ball watching, but I don't think it was ball watching. I think it was just, you know, Callum Hudson-Odoi has got that in his locker, right? You know, the acceleration can catch you out sometimes. You know, it's quick, but it's the kind of momentary acceleration that once he gets away from you, it's really tricky. And we wanted to win the game. We know how to hurt them. We'd already scored a goal and created plenty. We kind of knew how to hurt them, and we were very much focused on that. And that can happen, I'd say you've got to look at it. I think Henderson will be a little bit upset because he gets a really strong foot on it and it just goes through him.
Yeah.
So I think because it wasn't the best finish, to be blunt, because he's just basically hit it at Henderson's foot. But there's enough power on it for it to go in, and another day it doesn't. And I think, to be honest with you, I don't mind the goal so much because those things can happen. You can get hit on a transition. It's how we score a lot of goals. You can accept it. What was disappointing was, until Esse got going a little bit and sort of changed things for us, we didn't really respond quickly, and they had a little spell for us after the goal where I thought they might go on and win it, which was a shame.
Well, they did have the opportunities. That is all. That's all I can say about it. Like, they could have potentially won the game as well. So we're kind of lucky in that aspect. If you do want to call into the show, you can click on the pinned comment. I have posted it. If you haven't already done so, hit the like button and subscribe as well. Let's bring on Tim. Oh, Tim.
Gotcha.
1-0, 1-0 draw against Forest. We were concerned, before the game about how this game could go. You look at that Forest's team and you look at Palace's team. But I thought we played pretty well considering the circumstances.
I think Oliver Glasner is a world-class coach. I thought that game plan was outstanding. I thought we were I call it an annoyingly good result. Like, I'll take the point, obviously. And the amount of depth they have versus the amount of depth that Palace has is just, it's different level. There's just no comparing the two. And I did think fatigue played into the ultimate result, but I thought it was set up incredibly well. I thought we were good value for the lead. I thought Ndoye's pass into Hudson-Odoi was, at first I was annoyed by the Hudson-Odoi goal. Then I looked at the pass and I thought, you know what? That's like, used to Munoz quality versus Man City last season. That was a heck of a through ball. And Hudson-Odoi just beats him. He just beats Mitchell. So I thought Dino could have done a little better for that goal, but is what it is. So it's a decent point. But I thought we were set up well. I thought we played really well. I thought we ran out of gas. And so, we need more bodies. But I'll stick with the positives. You guys have already talked that point to death, so I don't need to belabor the point. I thought Esse did himself a lot of credit because I was very worried, like what you said, Hambo, that he had played himself out of minutes in this Oliver Glasner team, Romain Esse. I thought he just, lost all confidence with the manager. Today, the thing that I thought that was different that I think will do him quite well is he was not overplaying. I thought he was playing for the most part within himself. He had a little bit of trickery, but he also got back on the ball. When he lost the ball, he got back on the ball and he was working hard to win it back, which we know is one of the things that Glasner loves about Justin Devaney. Justin Devaney had a decent game. Wasn't an incredible game, but he shows a lot of energy, a lot of endeavor, and he plays box to box and he defends. And I thought that was, I thought Esse did himself a lot of credit there. But the one thing I'll point out about Glasner's tactics that I thought were great, but Forrest did adjust to it. In particular, Richards pressing up on Hudson-Odoi continuously to give him no space whatsoever. And Richards has been doing that quite well over the past several games. I thought that was excellent, really shutting down that side of the pitch. And then they came over and started picking on, Munoz with long balls. And I thought Munoz was up to the task. So defensively, we are still really, really sound. But you have to, I don't think I'm not the only one who wonders what could this manager do with a bit more rotational quality. My goodness, what we could be.
Yeah, we're gonna need it. I think it's not even it's a case of what could be. If we don't do it, then it's going to be a very long season. Injuries are going to happen. Like, you think even today, one injury happens, who on earth gets, like, maybe midfield we're sorted? I don't like. There's a lot of positions where it's even centre back. One injury to centre back, we're going to have to play which Glasner said, and I agree with him. We're going to play in midfield and Loma in defence. And I know he can play there, but it's still like not good enough. So we need players, and I think we will get the players. But regardless of it, it's just, I think the whole situation with Eze is just ridiculous. To sell him and pass the deal, and then afterwards not have a replacement lined up. Like, we could have just maybe hold back a bit. I mean, we didn't have to.
Go on, Hambo.
Yeah, I was going to jump in on that. So a couple of things. I wasn't completely with it at the start of what you were saying, Tim, and I want to apologise for that, because I was trying to work out the gravitational pull of Evangelos Marinakis, and using Newton's law, I think we've got. I mean, basically, it's something like roughly 1 in 240 trillion of your weight, so 150. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I got distracted by that, so apologies. But coming back in at the end there, I wanted to see, when we start talking about the performances, I started thinking to myself, well, you said Devaney did okay, and I'm thinking, but I didn't feel that, so I went and had a look, and you're right. In terms of, being on the ball, I think he had 32 touches in the game. His pass completion was pretty low, but then you start looking around and. We had a bit of a struggle in a general sense with that, but he touched the ball a bit more than I thought. I knew he was busy, but I think it's those key moments, isn't it? But I think when you look at him individually, then you actually stop and take a look at Mateta, and you look at the difference between Mateta today and in other games, particularly games where we've had the likes of Eze, Elise, whoever creating. Mateta today had a total of 17 touches in 87 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's actually that kills you.
Yeah.
Because as a focal point, he couldn't hold the ball up particularly well today. He still had a great shot, still ran the channels, worked tirelessly, worked incredibly hard. But he's won one ball in the air and had 17 touches in 87 minutes. I wouldn't call him out and say he had a bad game, but he wasn't involved like we need him to be. When you think about our attacking talent. Sorry, go ahead, Dio. I'll stop. Sorry.
Finish, and then I'll go.
No, I was just going to say, when you think about the attacking talent, when we were talking about, at its peak, it was Elise, Eze, and Mateta as a kind of three, and now it was last season Sarr and Mateta and Eze, and you're thinking those three cause anyone trouble.
Yeah.
Taking Eze out of that has taken the kind of unpredictable element, the kind of the kind of momentary genius. Sarr will work hard and run hard all game. He's got plenty of talent, good finisher, incredibly quick, but he doesn't. He's kick and run. He doesn't take play. He can't beat 2 or 3 in the blink of an eye, other than for pace. And he doesn't particularly seem to enjoy the ball to feet with back to goal. So Forest did a great job cutting off those angles, by the way, today. And they frustrated the hell out of us, and they got really physical with Mateta very early on. Same on Sarr. They did a real job on them. So there is an element, not that I'm necessarily praising that, because it's hard to praise those scumbags, but I am going to say that tactically they did a good job on us in that way. But I think that shows you where the real damage was done and why we struggled today in that final third.
Yeah, and I think not having Eze there, as you said as well, is like the focus was just on Mateta. I don't think Devaney was a major focus for Forest, and they are a very good defensive side. So naturally, I think they cut off the avenues for the ball to get to him, but we also didn't have that player to really go past 2 or 3 in tight spaces today, and that was the issue. I think Eze is the closest that we've got to that. But Tim, in terms of squad depth, And looking ahead to Fredrikstad, based on today's performance, do you think Kamada or Esse, do you think he's going to make those changes?
I think we'll see Esse. I'm very happy we're going to see. I'm certain, at least based on the comments I've seen, that we're going to see Kamada, and I'm very much looking forward to that. I think that will be nice to have him for Fredrikstad. It'll be important to have him back. Just one comment that you both made. I thought Glasner accounted for the lack of creativity by trying to increase the speed. And that's why I think there was so many misplaced passes. Like, you saw the ball come into Devaney a lot, and it's a quick one-touch pass that goes wayward. Hughes was much better when it comes in. You know, he comes in, he hits a one-touch pass, and I thought Hughes was brilliant today. But that's what we were doing. I thought that's what Glasner accounted for. Like, typically you'd come in on the left, you'd have some creativity, you create some space, you're working the ball around and then running into spaces. And we've been just deadly at doing that. But we didn't have that today with Ebbs. There was a lot of attempt to move fast through the lines and a lot of moments where it didn't come off, which is understandable, but something that we're going to need help. And you do need, you can't just get rid of creativity. You do need, I'm not saying I disagree. You do need that creativity. I don't know if Esse can provide it. I think we also need to recruit it. But my point is that this is why I love Glasner so much. Sees a problem, comes up with a solution. I don't have Ebbs anymore. Let's move the ball faster.
I think it's a good observation, and I would definitely agree with you that was the quickness in the transition today was a factor, and it's because of again Devaney getting up and down the way he does. You know, the legs that he brings to that situation, and obviously we talked about Sar's strength, so it makes perfect sense, doesn't it? And again, when you're right to sort of pull out that and say, okay, when you start looking at our pass completion stats being worse than they were, it was because we were playing a lot more to the channel. I saw a lot more direct long passes down the down through the middle of the pitch and into those channels, which again, you know, you're trying to put pressure on the second ball in those situations. So that does reflect on why Mateta might not get a touch, but he's still chasing it, putting pressure on the defender, and then when that try and win the second ball. And then our best spell in the first half, that's really what we did in terms of putting the pressure on. We just kept taking it off of them on the second ball and turning it back over and overloading. And you're right, when you look at that, for the players to know exactly what they need to do and when and how to hurt their opponent in every game, and it really is a shining example of why Glasner is such a special manager. But then you can't help but think, and then why have we made him so mad?
Well, I know.
Like,
well,
why?
Do you think he's? I said this before on. There was I did something on an Eagle Eye Football stream. And what I said is, I don't think he's angry. I don't think he's mad. And this is what kills me the most, Hambo, is I don't think it's anger. I think it's disappointment, betrayal, like frustration, because I think he's a true believer. I think he believes in us. I think he wants to take us further. And so, isn't that horrible? Like, if I'm right about that and he's a true believer and he wants to move us forward, like that's even worse than making him angry.
I don't know. I mean, I know what you're saying, Tim, and I feel like everything I do these days is pissing on people's chips, but I'm going to do it. I don't think that Glasner had ever had any interest in staying beyond 3 years, right? I don't. And I'm going to be blunt, and I just look at his history and his managerial history, and that's why I think that. Okay, I think he likes, but I think what he really wanted to do this season is last season he put Palace in a place we'd never been before.
Yeah,
and I think he wanted season 3 to be exactly that. Build on that, give everybody a foundation, work with the club. If maybe we could have convinced him to stay a year more, maybe with the right. But I think ultimately he wanted to kind of leave a quick but very defined, very clear legacy at Crystal Palace, where we could then go and get a manager, possibly at his recommendation, who can come in and continue that work and continue to build.
That may be right.
And what you may say, not angry. I would say all of those things: betrayal, frustration, disappointment, make me angry. So, just
Fair enough.
anger is what it is.
Sure.
I think
Fair
you're
enough.
right. I understand what you're saying. I think I can definitely see in the moment, like particularly directly after games when he's interviewed, like he was, after I think he was more angry the other night that Eze dropped out in the last moment on the day, and he feels probably very let down by that more than anything. But clearly he set out his stall as to what he wanted and he didn't get it, and that's a really bad way to keep somebody on side. So there you go. Sorry, D.
Yeah, no, he did say that if we were to finish in the top 10, he would consider Palace to be one of like elite club. I think that was the thing. Like apart from the typical top 6 clubs, so he feel like he's managing at a elite club. If we do finish in the top 10, so I think I don't think he made up his decision to leave before as soon as he joined after 3 years. I disagree with that personally. I feel like if he was to leave at the end of end of this season, I think it's down to ambition. I think this manager has ambition. I think he's, if you show ambition, I think he'll stay with that, stay with the team. But we're repeating the same mistakes of last summer, which I mean, we're just taking a piss, and that's the only way to describe it. So I think that could put him off. But we'll see. It's still a long season. Anything else to add, Tim?
No,
of course, I was at the game. I couldn't watch it, but I was like watching from home.
No, I mean it was good. I'll be. You don't have to answer to this now. Like I'll drop off and let you comment on the atmosphere. I was asking folks in the watch along what the atmosphere was like. It sounds like it was good. Like there was vibrant mood in the stadium, which is great. You kind of expect that. But just a quick comment on Ebbs. I'm really sad to see him go. I couldn't watch it. There was in my feed, there's all kinds of stuff or him coming out for the game at Arsenal. I can't do it. I can't see him. And I mean, I'll get to the point where I watch him in an Arsenal shirt, but it's too raw. I can't do it. I couldn't watch I'm sure they gave him a rousing applause and I love the kid. I think he's amazing. I want him to do well, but it's too raw. It's too soon. I can't do it. But I agree with what you said, D, about having replacements lined up. I think that's the sin in this particular case. I don't know where the reinforcements are, and I think we need them now. So I don't know what's going on there, but it is it's the most expensive transfer in the history of Crystal Palace Football Club. This is the model now. Selling on a player of Ebbs' quality at the peak of his powers to some degree, but also at an age profile where if we re-signed him to a new contract, you ain't going to be selling him on for any big money. This is your chance to sell him on for big money. And now I want at least 3 players. This is the model. You guys show me that the model works. But yeah, I'm as frustrated as everybody else. We don't have the players in yet. I hope we get it done soon, but it's the right move. It feels like the right move done the wrong way. That's the kind of the way that I would put it. Just like today, like it's a good result, but it's very annoying. I thought that Glasner
could have won the game as well. I feel like if we had a bit more quality, we could have won it.
I think if a little more depth and just a little more cutting edge, I think Glasner, the way he set up the game plan, I think he had the better game plan between him and Nuno Espirito Santos. And I think we could have taken 3 points from that game. It didn't happen. It's a decent result. Fair enough. The kick on. Please, for the love of God, get this man more because he's magic. He is magic. I love this guy. He's incredible. Best manager I've ever seen at Palace. So yeah, I mean, decent. It was good. Great watch along. Thanks to everybody who was in there because we had a good crowd, D, and everybody was, as is typical. Like we got like the Palace fans are the best. Yeah. I don't care what anybody else says. We are the best. So
yeah.
Anyway.
Appreciate you for the watch along as well. Appreciate you jumping on now as well. Let's see what happens next week. It's going to be, I guess, a busy week with the game coming up and also transfer news. But yeah, we'll catch up with you again soon.
Yeah. All right. Take it easy. Up the Palace, guys. Take it easy.
That was Tim having a say. If you do want to call into the show, feel free to click on the pinned comment. Let's bring on Nosa next. Nosa, you're on mute. But Palace won, Forest won. What do you think of the result and the performance today?
It was alright. A few things to highlight, just like the essay performance, him coming on. I would say there's a lack of creativity, but overall, it was the expected result. I expected us to draw last time we spoke. And I'm just a bit disappointed for Glasner more than anything, because I've been hearing you guys speak, and everyone's a bit frustrated as fans collectively that we don't have the depth that can take us to the next level right now. And as a club, we should have addressed this earlier in the summer, because everyone knew Eze was going to leave. He's at a prime age of 27, and now we're at a stage where everyone is embedded in their club. It's the start of the season in all leagues, so it's just going to be a bit difficult to implement a style for anyone that comes in. But I still trust in Glasner. I think he's a top manager, but overall, I'm just a bit neutral for everything.
I think it's been. I keep thinking, like, as you're talking there, I keep thinking to myself, we should be happy, like, shouldn't we? Like,
yeah, I know what you mean.
And I have these little flashbacks to, like, when we were almost out of existence, struggling at the bottom of the Championship, points deducted and all this kind of stuff. And I was just like, Premier League don't get it. They moan about anything and everything, like crying over the fact that their club hasn't spent 40 million quid on a player while we're weeks from going out of existence. It's not football, all this kind of stuff. And I always get little flashbacks to that where I start thinking I'm the thing that I hated. But I do honestly feel like this frustration that we have now, and you called yourself neutral. I think that's like in a situation where we're the FA Cup holders, the Community Shield holders, and trying to push on. Being neutral is the same as being miserable, basically, isn't it? So you're kind of feeling like, but I think we're right to feel this way. I really do.
I feel like as a Premier League club, the Premier League is ruthless. Regardless if you spend or if you don't spend, you're still going to get punished. We see the likes of teams like Nottingham. They spent over 200 million or whatever it was, 150 million when they first came promoted into the league, and they still struggled severely. And we're not spending. It just showcases the talent of Glasner as a manager. But we're in a position, if we want to go to the next stage within like the hierarchy of the Premier League, we have to spend, and we have to spend early on. And this is the frustration that the fans keep on broadcasting. It's getting frustrating. I'm trying to be neutral about it, because at the end of the day, we just want two trophies. And that's massive for Palace. But we're in a conference. We're in the Conference League, and the Conference League it showcases time and time again, or European competition. You need depth. We can't bring on. Definitely, as much as I like him, he's a hard worker. He's a centre mid, if I'm not correct, like by trade, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I think that's fair. He's more but we've been using him off the bench in a 10 for a while.
Yeah, when he comes off the bench, I really rate him.
Exactly.
Him. Yeah. But when he starts, you can see like he's got a bit of nerves in him. Like the touches are loose, and there's a couple times where his decision making isn't the most ideal. But he's young. He's only 20, 21. So I think he's a very good squad player, in my opinion. I think he can progress to probably like a in and out first team player, but just time will tell. Obviously, Glasner. I've read reports where in for some players that Glasner wants, and then the board wants. I'm not too sure. I don't know what to read. I'm not too confident in the sources, but we'll see.
Apparently, just on if anyone's interested, apparently on the Marinakis banner, the FA apparently is going to investigate the banner showing the Nottingham Forest owner Marinakis holding a gun to the head of Morgan Gibbs White.
I think, but if you look at the barrier on the banner, it said that he's not any of the things that they listed. So I think it's fine. And there's no proof.
I think they're
no proof
not about the
there's no
comments.
proof.
It's about the gun to the head.
There's no proof that that's a real gun, is there?
Yeah, I don't
Maybe it's
know.
not even a gun.
I don't know.
It just looks like one. It's probably a trick of the light. I'm sure it's fine.
Yeah, I'm looking at the gun right now.
Mm.
It doesn't look like a gun, but I don't want to be that guy. But it's not. Maybe it's a BB gun or whatever. I don't know. I'm just saying that's happened. In regards to today, of course, we spoke about Devaney, spoke about SA as well. Do you think fatigue also played a part towards the end of the game, where Forest felt like they were pushing more than Palace were, especially when you look at some of the subs they brought in quality?
Yeah, for sure. All of the players they brought on, they done well at their respective clubs last season. I'm a big fan of McAtee. He came on and you saw that Igor Jesus, if I'm correct, if that's not his name. I saw him in the Club World Cup. He looks like a good live wire, and that's what I mean. In as much as they were so close on Champions League football, they still got reinforcements in, and that's what we need to do. Of course, owners aside, their focus is different, and their thought process towards how they want to run the club is different to other clubs. But you need to be ruthless in the Premier League. Like, it's gonna come to bite you. And I'm not a person that wants to lose Glasner as a manager. I heard what you guys said. Well, not you particularly, D, but I heard what you said about Glasner potentially want to leave. And me personally, I disagree on that. I don't think he's gonna leave unless the ambition is limited. And with what the board are showing, it showcases that we don't have ambition. So if it continues like this, who knows? I don't think he had the intention to leave after 2-3 years, or that's his philosophy he wants to put in place.
I agree as well.
It's fine to disagree with me. I actually put a bet on him as the next Premier League manager to leave, but then immediately Nuno went and flipped out about Marinakis. So that's obviously going to end before Glasner goes anywhere. But genuinely, that's how I felt when I saw Glasner talk on Thursday. I just thought he was done.
You can hear the frustration in his voice, the disappointment, and just like the rage. Like the other day when we had the pod, I mentioned Sam Allardyce when he was at Bolton. He took them to a place where they couldn't even fathom. And I've watched a couple interviews, and I remember watching them play. They reached, I think, 7th or 8th at the time, and they wanted to go into greater positions and just climb up the ladder in the Premier League. But the owners didn't want to spend. And look where they're at now. I think they're in League 2, League 1. So, of course, we're not going to get to that situation. However, we just need to spend. It's tiring, man. It's tiring. We can't be 20-21-year-olds just to fork out results for us, unfortunately.
You also say that we're not going to get to that position, but what worries me, and we shouldn't, believe me, I honestly believe we shouldn't, but what really worries me is that, you look around the league about what everyone else is doing. So usually you can say, oh, well, there's 3, 4, 5 other teams that haven't got better or are struggling to keep their players as well. So you think about the window that Brentford have had, right? And you think about what was going on at Bournemouth, but look at that they are taking action. And probably one of the best things to think about, if you look at the other game today, Everton versus Brighton, Everton winning that game 2-0. Everton, poor team, like all last year, and but you look at what the business that they've done, and it's the kind of business that you point at and you start thinking, well, that was a risk. So Dewsbury Hall coming in from Chelsea after struggling after his move from Leicester, right? Yeah. But he came in today, played really well today. He's come in and boosted them. Like, not a player we would have mentioned, right? But he's playing in behind a striker, doing really, really well. Yeah. But Grealish is the one, right? Everyone would have thought, what a crazy thing to do. He's on a stupid amount of money. 2 assists today, fantastic. But I'm not saying we could get Jack Grealish, but at the same time, Jack Grealish has gone to Everton, who have consistently been in the bottom half of the league. Yes, they've moved to a big shiny new stadium, and that has an impact, right? But they're not in Europe. No. They haven't won anything recently. So, like, you got a player of that quality, an England international with absolute guaranteed quality, who's had a tough time at Man City, like many players have. Completely, it's one game, long season. He could get injured. He could be awful for the rest of the season. I don't know, but I'm pointing at that and I'm saying, look, that is the kind of decisive action that can change the course of a club, can change the course of a season. We have not been decisive in any way, and whoever we sign, you know, we're not in a place now where we're going to buy Premier League ready quality. And if you want to compete in the Premier League at the highest level and push on from where we are and not finish 12th, you've got to buy Premier League quality. And I don't think there's any of that available right now. And that's what worries me.
Yeah, I agree on you. Especially the fact that we're leaving it so late. It's just like it's the replication of last season. But I'm not here to complain. I just want the club to do well. Of course, you can voice out your frustration, and I feel like all of us are in collective agreement. I just wanted to voice my opinion. But yeah. Overall, I just hope we have a good season, and on Thursday we just cement our place in the Europa Conference. So. Yeah, I just hope the board could understand the fans' frustration.
Yeah. Let's see on Thursday. Of course, that's gonna be a massive game. But I appreciate you jumping on. Hopefully, we'll catch up with you on Thursday.
Yeah, likewise. Have a good afternoon, guys.
You
Cheers,
too.
man.
Take care.
Nice one.
That was nice having to say. Yeah, but as we reach towards the end of the show, we'll go through some questions and comments. There's a question actually towards you from Yao Ming, saying, I always get confused about this, Hambo. Why always lower teams make more signings and better than us must be the wage demands?
Yeah, well, I have, to some degree, I was a bit dismissive about the new stadium thing, but I think that when you actually look at Everton's situation, right, they've done the thing that Parish has talked for years about that we need to do, which is structure our club so we have better commercial income, better match day income, and generate a lot more money from different places than we currently do, rather than relying on people to put hands in pockets, right? So Everton's struggles over the last few years, you could potentially point to the fact that they've been building this stadium and channeled a lot of money into that, and say that this is now the time where, because of their projected earnings over the next few years, they can afford to throw whatever wages, insane wages that Grealish is on, at him, and we can't. That could literally be the difference. So it's possibly an unfair example for me to hold out, but I get the question. It's like I have that same confusion as well in that example. You see so many teams acting quickly, decisively, spending the money. We know why the teams that come up can do it, right? Because they have a sudden injection of money and they have no concerns over FFP for like 2-3 years. They don't have to worry, right? Because they're on a completely different place. But the rest of the people in the Premier League, exactly the same place we're in, and it'll become it. So income plays a big part, but just acting quickly, and decisively, I don't have a reason why we aren't doing it. I don't have a reason why we haven't used. I know there was some uncertainty over which European competition we're in, but we were in Europe. We knew that, and we haven't used that profile to do anything. We were even talking about it as a club, weren't we? We were talking about the end of the season, being in Europe next year. That will help us kick on and bring a new profile of player. And it might be that some of our targets didn't want to play Conference League. They want the Europa League. They might have said yes. Conference League, not interested. And maybe that's the case. But we really have, got ourselves into a bit of a situation that we shouldn't.
Yeah, again, Frederick side next game. Do you reckon we can get the job done? 1-0 up.
Yeah, I've zero doubt about that. I think they looked an interesting side actually at Selhurst. I don't really talk about it, but I think they created a couple of things, didn't they? A couple of opportunities that worried me a little bit. They're a better team than perhaps I would have given them credit for before the game. So I don't think we can be complacent, but I would expect us to go there, and because they can't sit there. You saw it. I don't have to go over and review the game with you, but they sat with their entire team in their own half for long spells of the game and frustrated the hell out of us. But we still could have scored 4 or 5. So I expect us, when they have to come at us at their ground and they have to actually get into the tie, and they have to score. I think we'll comfortably beat them, get a couple of goals on the transition, and I think they'll crumble. So, but who knows?
Yeah, well, they have to attack as you've mentioned, so they can't just sit back with 11 men, and hopefully with spacing behind. yeah, we should be able to hurt them. We should be able to hurt them, but let's see. But that's it from us today. If you have enjoyed this, drop a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, and most importantly, let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below after it ends. We'll be back tomorrow for the player ratings, as well as previewing the Fredrikstad game, which is going to be dropping in the next few days, and many more content. So keep your eyes peeled for that. Thanks to everyone calling in, leaving your comments, watching. Keep safe, people, and we should be back, as I said, tomorrow afternoon. But until then, up the Palace.
Oh, Palace.